Hi, everybody. You'll see me again. It's me again for Thursday. Usually you see Justin on Thursdays, but today it's me because Justin's on study leave this week and holidays next week. So I'll be hosting a lot of the check-ins. You'll just be thrilled to see me every single time, Tuesdays and Thursdays for the next week and a half. So today I'm thrilled to have Karen and Carol with us. And yeah, so most of you know Karen and most of you know Carol now. They have been the faces in several of my interviews. And so I appreciate you both being here. And so let's just start with a quick update, see how you guys are doing just personally and what's up. So Karen, you start.
I'm doing well. I've been walking our dog Banksy a lot. I find that fresh air and exercise always makes me feel a lot better. I'm baking cookies for the Bear Clan Patrol, and I go and help with the lunches every Friday because the council is still going out to provide food and clothing and care for the people on the streets in the East Village and Forest Lawn. I'm helping seniors through the Calgary Seniors Resource Center. I'm doing lots of Zoom meetings and webinars with the CACG and other social justice organizations to learn more about the social justice issues and mental health. I'm watching Tuesday and Thursday chats. I'm enjoying all of the interesting topics and your guests, and I am loving Sunday services. I am so glad we still have that as a part of, well, I am so glad I have it as a part of my life. Mm-hmm. I have loved the messages that you've done, Tracy, Justin, and Candace.
Thank
and
you.
The music has been fantastic.
Yeah.
Really impressed.
Yeah. Thanks, Karen. Carol, how about you?
We're doing well. We're 4 of us here. The kids are in school, 1 in high school, 1 in uni. Husband works from home. So I'm continuing my activism work on basic income and LGBTQ two-spirited rights, and always reading, trying to learn something new. And then I'm making things, cooking, sewing when I have time. So it's good. I miss seeing everyone, all my friends in church in person, but online is awesome. It's awesome. And if I'm a little late at 10 a.m. on Sunday, it's okay.
That's right. Right? I know. It's kind of nice, actually.
We're a lot late. We won't talk about that with the minister present.
Oh, well, thank you both. That's great. So today, everybody, we're talking about basic income. And, you know, we've heard it spoken in various forums and levels of government as an option for pandemic recovery. So that's the way it's going right now. And so I'm going to share with everybody a quote from UBI Works that was part of a press release that was put out on the 26th. So it says, at the end of 2020, a landmark report by the Canadian Centre for Economic Analysis was launched that top economists and politicians have praised as a seminal piece of evidence that basic income works. It showed that ending poverty and growing the middle class with a national basic income could grow the economy and significantly speed up our recovery from pandemic. These findings are yet another reason that basic income cannot wait. Our neighbors, local businesses, and communities need support now. The report refutes the idea that a basic income would be too expensive. The response has been incredible, with coverage on BNN, Huffington Post, and the Toronto Star. So in the email that we're going to send out with this link for this video, we're going to add some more links to different resources that people can access. But I'm going to add this press release as well that has like a little video that where you can see Andrew Yang and other Canada's top economists talk about this report specifically. And so it's actually quite exciting. Like, this is an exciting endeavor, I think. And so what some of you in St. Thomas might not know is that we at St. Thomas have a working group on this topic. And we've had a working group for a number of years. And Karen and Carol are part of that basic income team, working with Calgary Alliance for the Common Good and other organizations actually as well, to educate and spread the word about basic income. And so the one person who actually got us first thinking about this a couple of years ago is Brian Dodd, and he's also a part of this team. And Brian couldn't be here today, sends his regards, couldn't be here today because he's currently very busy working on basic income lobbying plan on the federal level. So he's even like beyond our scope. He's such a big wig, but that's why he couldn't be here today. So yeah, so on that note, I just want to, before we chat a little bit more with the three of us about basic income, we're going to show everybody a 2-minute sermon from Reverend Anna Greenwood Lee, and then we'll come back and get everybody's take on it.
A few years ago, our church came alongside a young woman who was experiencing homelessness. Her husband had died suddenly, leaving her penniless with a toddler. And we managed to help her get subsidized housing and subsidized childcare and a minimum wage job. At the time, I also had young children and was amazed to watch this woman live on less than $20,000 a year. It's a myth that poor people can't manage their money. They can manage it extremely well. I would help this woman piece together the patchwork variety of social programs that helped her get by, the various applications for housing and for childcare and for low-income transit passes, etc. One day I had the brilliant idea that maybe she should get better qualified as, say, a bookkeeper so that she could get a job that would pay her more like $40,000 a year. But when we sat down and really looked at that scenario, we both realized that she'd actually probably be worse off, as she would lose her childcare subsidy, she would lose her housing subsidy, etc. We realized that she would have had to catapult herself to more like $60,000 a year. It's my experience working with her and others that has made me such a strong believer that Canada needs a universal basic income. The patchwork variety of programs we have now is incredibly difficult to navigate, it's incredibly difficult to administer, and it's very expensive. And it seems, in my experience, to do a better job of keeping people poor than helping them move out of poverty. This woman is no longer living in poverty. She had the skills to get herself out, but I know she would have been out of poverty sooner had she had a guaranteed basic income, had we not clawed back so many of her subsidies so quickly. Our social safety net should not be designed to keep people poor. It should be designed to help people move out of poverty. And I believe that a guaranteed basic income, if done properly, could help do this. Could help more and more people lead independent lives of dignity, and in the long run would be cheaper and more humane. Amen.
So, what are your thoughts on this 2-minute sermon? So I don't know who wants to start. Carol, I'll get you to start this time.
Well, my thoughts are that this is a wonderful story, and it's a common theme that runs through those that support basic income. And though there are a lot of compelling economic arguments and political arguments for a basic income, I think one of the most compelling is to hear people's stories about why they need it and what they would do if they had a basic income. And I want to point out that one of my favorite TED Talks is about the danger of the single story. It's by Chimamanda Adichie. She's a Nigerian novelist, and she talks about the danger of the single story in a different context, but it applies for stories about poverty, because though this is a compelling story that Greenwood Lee has given us, there are many others. And we know that they fall into different categories, and everyone is unique in some way too, but often people will use a basic income to supplement their knowledge by going back to school. They'll take care of their children. They'll start a new business. So there are lots of good reasons to support a basic income, and the economic arguments are very strong as well.
Mm-hmm. Great, thanks, Carol. How about you, Karen?
Well, I think Anna is so right about the social programs that we now have being a patchwork that is so hard to navigate. That is why so many people fall through the cracks and some end up homeless.
Yeah.
All of these programs are very expensive to administer, and too much time is spent ensuring people do not abuse the system. And so little time is spent making sure that the program is uplifting people.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Yeah, there's so much more. It's deep, right? It's deep. Yeah. So I know that some people, basic income kind of scares people, and people get defensive, and I understand that, and that's something to be understood. And I think that education around it is the key, to kind of understand what it actually is about. So the next 3 Sundays at St. Thomas, we're actually focusing on basic income, and really linking it with, that this is a faithful thing to do. This is part of our faith, is to actually engage in this type of education and promoting this kind of program, and it fits with us being Christians and disciples of Christ. So the first Sunday that's coming up, we're going to talk about myths of the bootstrap economics. Justin gets that one. It's going to be exciting. Yeah. And then the next Sunday, we're talking about types of poverty and supporting the poor. I'm doing that one. And then Candace is doing Transfiguration Sunday, and we're talking about why basic income should be available to each of us when we need it. And so what are your two, Karen and Carol, what are your two takes on why this is so important for us to talk about, and why this is such an important issue? So Karen, why don't you go first?
Okay, this is going to be a time of enormous change in Alberta. I was talking to a friend on Saturday night, and she and most of her friends work in the oil and gas industry. And they were at the heights of their career in 2019. And they are now so depressed and wondering what they're going to do. Some of them are having suicidal thoughts. Yeah. They see that their work will no longer be necessary, and they wonder what they can possibly do to survive. Mm-hmm. Basic income would make retraining people possible. Basic income is not intended to provide them with the income that they were used to, but would at least allow them to survive while they transition into a new career. I know a woman on Canada Pension Plan disability payments, and she cannot survive on that amount. She chooses each month what bills to pay and has to survive on the food bank to be able to provide food for herself, which she tells me is very high in pasta, so not a healthy diet. Yeah. Especially for her, she is trying to recover from cancer treatment. And it is very stressful not to have healthy food and to worry constantly about your finances. Basic income would allow people to plan for their future, give them stability, to have better lives. Our current economy is widening the wealth gap. The rich are getting richer, and the poor are working part-time at minimum wage with no benefits. Sickness or injury can cause them to lose their employment and thrust them into poverty overnight, sometimes causing them to lose their homes. We are going to find our crime rate going up as people get desperate. Our healthcare system will be overloaded with stress-related illnesses, mental and physical. Something must be done to create a more just society. The cost of doing nothing is worse. Basic income would allow everyone to have healthy food, a roof over their head, and opportunity to dream of a better life.
Yeah, I'm glad Karen brings up the stories of her friends and acquaintances, because going back to the video I was talking about the danger of the single story, we've all heard the single story myth that people on a basic income will stay home and play video games. Doesn't sound like Karen's friends have that in their plans. And I think most of us know that that is a myth. However, there are other myths going around about this being unaffordable, about it being just a license to goof off. And study after study shows that this simply is not true, that these are indeed strong myths. So I think these conversations are so important, and everything that Karen has said so far is very true about the way the current economy is shaping the future of work. And the future of work, we know, is going to be more ad hoc, fewer benefits, part-time, so the so-called gig economy, whereby people will work for a while and then they maybe don't have a contract for a few months, and then they work for a while and they don't. And this is middle class jobs now we're talking about. So Karen spoke of the lower end jobs, and then maybe people at, you know, kind of the middle. Well, there's a lot of other people that maybe lower middle who cannot no longer depend on an income, a yearly income like frankly, their fathers did, and their mothers and their grandparents.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah. Yeah. And I think for me personally, it's just, I think Canada, we could be better, right? I always think Canada could be better. And I think that this is one thing that we could, you know, be better with, and care for our folks, and care for me if I all of a sudden become unemployed, and you know, a pandemic hits, and you know, or whatever, and I can't work for whatever reason. And so
I think when the pandemic hit, you got more work, didn't you?
I did. Yeah, that's probably true. Yeah. But you know, there's all sorts of scenarios, right? That even the most stable people, you know, work-wise, can encounter all of a sudden, and this is something that can help, and it is cheaper than what we've done in this last year in terms of CERB and all those other you know, programs. So yeah, so there's lots of, yeah.
Sorry, there's growing evidence that about 12% of the current federal budget would be necessary to support a guaranteed basic income, just 12%, whereby those who are going below the poverty line will get a top up at different increments based on their income. It would work like a tax credit, basically. And that is affordable. 12% sounds affordable to me.
Yeah.
How about both of you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
And there's so many ways of finding that 12% in our taxes. It's not about going in debt more. It's about making taxes fair.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Taxing corporations more, taxing the ultra wealthy, and things along those lines. Mm-hmm. And again, there are different conceptions of a basic income, but we're looking at one that seems to be the most popular, which is that, you know, the amount you get is based on how much you're already making. And so as you earn more, you would get less a guaranteed basic income, for example.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, thank you very much. There's lots to learn and lots to continue to learn. And so, like I said, we're going to add some links to our email on Thursday that goes out. So if you have any questions and you need some, you know, someone to talk to, you can probably talk to any one of us about that, or Brian. And yeah, so encourage others to learn about it as well. So any final thoughts from the two of you?
No, I think it's just wonderful that we're just talking about this. It's just so important to keep this topic top of mind, so that, you know, people are thinking about it and writing to politicians and saying that this is what we want for our country.
I agree. And it's going to be a long conversation, in the sense that we don't have all the details worked out, and there are different conceptions of a basic income. So do stay tuned and keep reading about it. It is very interesting, and working together, I think it's a place we can go. I just read another story today about a coalition of American mayors who are now getting together to push for basic income in their cities. We all have seen some of the poverty, you know, in American cities, and it's in Canadian cities as well. So I think this is a wonderful, yet another grassroots effort to get people educated and to perhaps start offering this on a more universal basis.
Mm-hmm, for sure. Awesome.
Thank you for having us and letting us talk about it, Tracy.
You're very welcome. Thanks for being willing to.
Thank you, Tracy.
Yeah, and everybody out there, have a great rest of the week, and know that you're loved always. Bye, everybody.
Bye.